Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can mostly ditch Adobe in 2017. Now, I say mostly, specifically because there are just some applications, if you're on one particular platform, that are just maybe not equally matched in any sort of way by anything else that's out there. And of course, when we hit these things, if you know of something, please let me know, because in my research, I haven't found anything to cover some of these bases. But for the most part, if you're doing web design and that sort of stuff, or design in general, and if you're staying away from maybe video topics, then you could probably get away with completely removing Adobe from your computer. Now, I totally stopped Adobe a couple of years ago and have not found the need. Although I don't work on a team, so I don't need to manage other people's expectations. It's easy for me to say that you can do this. However, obviously, you might want to consult with your team, make sure everyone's on board before completely uninstalling the Adobe Creative Suite from your computer. Now, first and foremost, we're going to get started with probably the most widely used Adobe application, which is Adobe Photoshop. And basically the best way to replace Adobe Photoshop is with Affinity Photo. You can come to affinity.serif.com and you can see a selective suite of some of their apps, which is Affinity Photo as well as Affinity Designer. Now we're going to want to go to the desktop version. Now this is available for Mac and PC for a one price of $49, okay? So one of the reasons I liked to ditch Adobe was because they got the subscription model, right? I don't want to pay every year if the app is getting incremental updates, right? So Affinity Photo is a one-time purchase. They take a little dig at Adobe by saying no subscription here, just $49, buy for Mac, buy for Windows. And if you're wondering, does this stand up to Photoshop? The answer is, for the most part, absolutely. You know, there's some weird sort of edge case Photoshop features that this thing does not do. I believe there's like 3D image editing. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do stuff like that, but Photoshop never did that stuff very well anyways. And if you're using this for photos, this does photos very well. And the interface is going to be nice and familiar. Obviously, it's not Photoshop, so it's not going to be the exact same. However, in terms of using this, once you get sort of the lay of the land, Affinity Photo is a great replacement for Photoshop. You can even open PSD files in Affinity Photo here, and they work very, very well. And best part, cross-platform, Windows or Mac. I liked to see that because obviously with some of these things, you know, there isn't a cross-platform solution and you might need to look elsewhere for that. But, you know, watch this Affinity Photo, download the demo, download some of their examples. You're going to be immediately impressed with how easy and nice this application is. Like I said, just A+, right? This is the gold standard for Adobe replacement apps. Affinity Photo, okay? Now next up we have Illustrator, which is another highly used application. Now, Illustrator can be replaced by several applications, one of which you can get to without even leaving this Affinity site, which is Affinity Designer. Now, I personally do not use Affinity Designer. It's $49, but it is very nice. And if you look at this video, you can watch this video, you can see you have access to things like symbols, textiles, style improvement, constraints, asset management. There's UI kits and stuff like that. This is definitely aiming to be an Illustrator replacement, and it does a great job of that. So head over to affinity.serif.com. Keep in mind, none of these companies are paying me anything to say anything about their apps here. This is stuff that I've used and I've liked. You can see there's some nice grid tools here. We have like a isometric grid, brushwork even, a lot of just great vector stuff. So Affinity Designer is a great place for your vector work that you need to do. So this is Affinity Designer. Like I said, head over, check out all their features. This page is really nice. That's the thing. One of the things I really like about this company is all of their software is really well designed. Now next we have a non-cross-platform solution, which is in Sketch. Now many people know that I'm a big fan of Sketch. I have many videos of it on my channel. It's basically a no-frills editor for vector stuff, primarily focused on designing for user experience, web, stuff like that. So you're probably not going to get into this to do maybe like character design and stuff like that, like maybe you would Affinity Designer. You can see their examples are a little bit different here. So Sketch is a great option if you're doing UX design. However, big issues, only Mac compatible, and it's really a bummer because I feel like Sketch's audience could have grown significantly if they would have adopted to Windows by now. But as you can see, there still is no option. And as far as I know, there's nothing on the roadmap. Another bummer here is that you pay $99, but then you do have to subscribe to a license if you want to continue to get updates. Again, that didn't used to be how it used to be. Another bummer here, but for $99, this application's super nice. Download the free trial, check it out. Now, lastly, we have a third that I really, really, really like. And what's great about this application is it's web-based. So we have Figma, which you can get to at figma.com, which is another user interface prototyping and vector-based design platform. Now, this would be seen as like a replacement for Illustrator. If you're still doing design in Photoshop, it would replace that. But basically, it's for web and UX design. It makes things really easy. You can have symbols. You can have your own team library of symbols. And this application is in super, super active development. It emphasizes teamwork, and it's seeing updates constantly. One of my new favorite applications, and I will be doing a full-on tutorial series on Figma because it's just that good. Now, one of the cool things about Figma is that because it's web-based, you can sign in and you can use it anywhere. You could use it in the browser. It also has a Mac and PC version, so there's both desktop versions for Mac and PC, or of course you can use it just in your browser, and everything's synced to the cloud, so you could access to your files anywhere. So again, this might not be the most appropriate example if you are trying to do maybe illustrative work like this. But if you're doing web stuff, which a lot of people use Illustrator for, Figma is definitely my new hot pick because of its cross-platformness, its eagerness to update and improve, and all of the great stuff that's coming with it. You'll be seeing a lot more of this application in the future, I promise you. So that is Illustrator and Photoshop. Now, next up, we have InDesign, which is sadly one of the ones that I'm not able to truly replace. Now, the good news is I have never opened InDesign intentionally in so many years of working on the web. So I know there's a large portion of people that still use InDesign for laying out books and lots of stuff like that. I'm not sure that's going to change. The good news is if you're working on the web, chances are you haven't used InDesign very much anyways. So if you know of a great InDesign alternative, something hopefully that's cross-platform, let me know. I was not able to find anything that I really liked. Now, next up, we have Lightroom. Now, Lightroom you could have potentially replaced by Aperture, by Apple, but they canceled basically support and stopped updating Aperture in 2015. It hasn't really been a great piece of software to use in a very long time. It's one of those things that you would use it if you really needed the functionality from Lightroom, but in all honesty, I'm not a professional photographer, so I can't totally speak on the every one-to-one feature existing in other applications, but I'm going to head back to Affinity Photo once more because Affinity Photo has some really excellent raw photo capabilities, and it has sort of the same kind of development workflow where you're bringing in your raw files and you want to develop them and modify them before working on them, like normal photos or something like that, in a similar way that you would to with Lightroom. The only difference is that I don't believe there's any sort of like cataloging like there is in Lightroom. Now, like I said, not a professional photographer. I have not used Lightroom in that regard. However, if I needed the high-end photo editing like I would in Lightroom using raw files and stuff like that, Affinity Photo is certainly super nice. And in all honesty, I would probably manage my photos somewhere else, bring them into Affinity to edit anyways. Okay, so here we have a replacement which is not one-to-one features for Lightroom, but does the things that Lightroom could do. Now next we have Adobe Premiere Pro. Now if you want to go something Apple-based, I do love Final Cut Pro X in a way that most people don't. Final Cut Pro X, especially in the latest version, has gotten a lot better. I know when it first came out, people were really skeptical of it. There are some things in this program that once you get good at it will really save you some time, but the learning curve is a little bit there because Final Cut Pro X does not feel like Premiere, and it does not feel like Final Cut Pro 7 or any of the older versions. But like I said, when you can get over that hump of the learning curve, Final Cut Pro X certainly is one of those applications that can make your life a lot better. Now, if you're not into Apple, you want something cross-platform, you want something more like Premiere, head over to blackmagicdesign.com, and what we're looking at is DaVinci Resolve. Now, DaVinci Resolve, as you can see down here in my drawer here, is an application I really like. It's a newcomer. It sort of steps up to the plate where in a world controlled by Avid, Final Cut Pro, and Premiere is sort of saying, hey, there's room for a new video editor. So as you can see here, this application, the design's on point. Everything looks really nice. It's a linear editor, has really nice color tools, which was actually their focus before turning into a video editor. And as you can see, there's even some really nice consoles if you need this for professional video editing. So check out DaVinci Resolve here, and what's cool is that you can even install a pretty nice trial of this on your computer and give it a run. I really liked it. I'm using the beta, which is a beta, so it's not super stable, but overall everything is really super nice about it. And if I'm not using Final Cut Pro or I switch off a Mac at any given point, I feel like this is the application that would turn into my #1 editor. So check out DaVinci Resolve by Blackmagic Design. Like I said, really nice website, really nice stuff here. And yeah, so that's really it for video editing. Now the last one is After Effects, which really it is my biggest problem of finding a replacement application. You have things like Nuke. Now Nuke is a compositing software. It doesn't really do the same thing as After Effects, but it does compositing really well, so then you can remove that from your After Effects pipeline. But like for me, I use After Effects mostly for motion design, and I haven't found a great alternative to it. I find myself wanting to just use After Effects even though I don't want to keep Adobe installed. Now, there is an alternative, which would be Apple Motion 5, which Motion is great, but again, I personally do not find this to be a proper replacement. That said, tons of professionals use Motion every single day professionally and get some really nice motion graphics out of it. The only bummer is it does not work on PC and really only plays nice with Final Cut Pro. So if you're using Final Cut X and you want to add some motion graphics, then Motion is a great solution for that. But if you're looking for just straight up motion graphics software that will play nice with anything, yeah, good luck. I was not able to find anything that was correctly fitting all the stuff I like to do with After Effects. Now lastly is Experience Design, which is a new sort of application which does prototyping and stuff like that, and I'm heading back to Figma for this. Figma offers a lot of nice features here, including prototyping stuff. We have commenting where you can have teammates comment on files. You can go into a presentation mode and show your stuff off. This is an application I really like, if you couldn't tell from all of that I was gushing about it earlier. Now there's a ton of little periphery apps that obviously I'm not covering here, but I hope I hit on all the major ones. Nothing against Adobe. Their products have been amazing for so many years. However, they're also bloated, heavy, expensive, an annual subscription, take up a ton of room on your computer, and try to do too much. So that said, nothing against them personally. I've just found replacing them with these applications that are a little bit more focused and maybe a little bit more hungry to improve have definitely improved my workflow and my overall life. So if you want to head to any of these websites, I'll put all the links in the description of this video so you can check these out. Like I said, no affiliations with these companies, although I did do some of the videos on Sketch's Learn page. Regardless, it's one of my favorite apps. So check it out, head to the description if you want these links. As always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, and if you wanted to subscribe to a awesome web-based podcast, head over to syntax.fm. Wes Boss and I have started a great new podcast where we talk about all things related to web development. It's super fun, and it's going to only get better. So check it out. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.